Morning, friends. I thought today we could spend the day together, like very chill, very normal day, nothing too exciting. So to kick things off, I go to the gym first thing in the morning. So that's what we're gonna do. I am definitely itching to jump in the shower, but I really want to get my my lunch started because I'm gonna crock pot it. I'm gonna make some turkey chili. That's what I ran in the grocery store for mostly this morning, stuff for that. So I want to get that so that I can throw it in and not think about it. Okay, so I did shower. I just put on another sweatshirt and leggings because this morning I just have a lot of computer work to do. I am gonna put on a little bit of makeup though, just to kind of feel like a human being. But later, I have to go pick up my husband from the airport. So I don't know if I've mentioned it on here before, but my husband travels for work. He also is a professional pickleball player. So in addition to his work, he travels for pickleball as well. So he does a lot of traveling. He literally left last night for this trip and he's coming back today. So it's a very quick trip. Sometimes they're much longer trips, you know, it's all over the place. So yeah, we're gonna be comfy cozy in our sweatshirt this morning so we can do some computer work, but later we will get changed in order to go do our airport pickup, because obviously we got to be a little bit cute for airport pickup. Time for lunch. I'm really excited about this. Although I will say, halfway through making this recipe, I realized that this was not the recipe I usually use. Not sure exactly what to expect, but it's not like it's that different. So I'm sure it'll still be good. All right, it has been a little bit. I've just been working on my computer again. But I have two updates. Number one, I changed my top. I actually put on real clothes. I do still have on leggings, but we're gonna count it as a win. Number two, plans have changed because unfortunately my husband's not coming home today, which is obviously a bummer, not only because obviously I want to see him, but also because I was kind of excited to maybe include him in this vlog. I mentioned it in one of my vlogs the other day that, like, you know, I'm trying to like ease into, you know, including other people and vlogging around other people and all this stuff. And so obviously he's a safe space, and so I've been trying to like get myself to like just do it. And today I was thinking it would be a good, good opportunity because, this morning I've had time to like do my own thing and like kind of settle into vlogging. And then I thought by the time I had to pick them up, we could, do a little vlogging together. But yeah, that's not happening. It's just going to be us and we're at home. I thought about maybe going to the library, but I still have some books to finish, so we might save that for another day. But I thought I might take a little mini work break here and do something that I've wanted to do for like 2 weeks now, which is bake this cookie recipe. This recipe is for a copycat Loft House sugar cookie, which are like the kind of sugar cookies you get, like pre-made at the store and are weirdly so good, even though like maybe you shouldn't love them that much. But anyway, they looked really great. I've never made a cookie quite like that from scratch. Obviously, I've made sugar cookies before, but not this type of like sugar cookie. So I was also really interested in making it because it specifically uses margarine. Sorry, that was my oven telling me that it's ready. But it specifically uses margarine, which I've never actually baked with. It's funny because it's one of those things that I feel like in the early 90s when I was a kid, I remember people like having margarine around, and I feel like as an adult, I have not heard of anyone using margarine in so long. And surprisingly, it was like not hard to find, but just not as accessible as I kind of thought it would be. So like I get a lot of my groceries from Target, just because it is the easiest for me, and it also like I price matched and it's like kind of the same price as going to the grocery store by us. I tried to get it from Target and like they didn't even have any margarine on hand. So I ended up going to like the full big grocery store and was able to find it. But so for me, when it comes to baking, I really love just trying different things. And for me, it's kind of fun to use different ingredients that I've never used before. So that's why I kind of thought it would be fun to make these. So we're gonna whip some of these up. And then I also thought maybe we could talk about books, since I already was talking about reading today. I thought maybe we could look through my books that I've read this year, because I read, and maybe talk about my favorites and my thoughts and stuff. So that's the plan. We're gonna have a very chill rest of the day. I still have more work to do, but I figure we can take a break and then we can get back to that later. Okay, so while the cookies are in the oven, we are going to give Dutchie a little puzzle. After her brother died 2 years ago, she was bored, like very bored. And so I started buying her little puzzles, and she's very treat motivated, so she loves a good puzzle. You wanna do puzzle, Dutch? Very good at getting all of the yellow ones, and then now she's gotten pretty good at getting all of the blue ones in the middle. They like spin around the middle, but she definitely struggles with getting these red ones because you have to like move the blue one and then move the red one into its spot, and so she just she struggles with doing that. She might be getting this one. No, she gave up already. What about this red one? Can you get that one? No, get that one. There you go. All right, push it back. No, here we go. That one, Dutchie. She's also mostly deaf at this point, so sometimes it can be hard to get her attention. There we go, last one. Good job. Good job, Dutch. Good job. You did it. Kind of. I have to let the cookies cool before I ice them, but these are like legit. They definitely taste exactly like those Loft House cookies. They're a little bit addictive for sure. But while the cookies cool so that I can put some icing on them later, I thought we would just go through my books from this year. Off my year with 2 celebrity memoirs, which is not very common for me. This year I did 2 right in the beginning, like basically back to back. I did Jeanette McCurdy's I'm Glad My Mom Died and Happy People Are Annoying by Josh Peck. If you don't know who those people are, both of them are Nickelodeon kids. Jeanette McCurdy was on a show called iCarly, and Josh was on Drake and Josh. That's kind of dealt with a lot of trauma from her childhood, specifically, you know, from her mom. And that was definitely a heavy one to read. And Josh talked a lot about substance abuse, and so it feels wrong to say they were entertaining, but they were just great reads, and they were very engrossing. And I would say both Josh and Jeanette had a way of injecting humor into it that it wasn't sad all the way through, but I just feel like they dealt with the topics in a way that was very real, but also you didn't walk away from the book feeling like too like punched in the gut. Although Jeanette McCurdy's definitely was more so a punch in the gut. It was pretty heavy at times. Moving on, I read The Weight of Blood by Tiffany D. Jackson, which I remember really enjoying. It's a horror, so if you're not into horror, you won't like it. But if you are into Stephen King, this is sort of a retelling of Carrie. So it follows this school as it's hosting its first integrated prom. Carrie, main character, is biracial, and if I remember correctly, the way that it's told is sort of both in like the current moment where you're getting like interviews, I think either for like a newspaper or a book or something like that. Someone's interviewing the, you know, survivors of this, and so you're getting that perspective, but then you're also jumping back into the past and actually like reliving what happened. But yeah, like I said, if you liked Carrie and you like Stephen King, I would give this a read, because I definitely remember enjoying it. Then I read Brave New World by, and I'm going to butcher this name, I apologize, Aldous Huxley. It was written in 1930s, and it is really interesting. I didn't know what to expect when I started reading it, and it was definitely nothing that I did expect, but it definitely stuck with me. Like, it still sticks with me. I still sometimes think about this book. I don't know if you consider it dystopian, because at least to me, dystopian specifically means sort of like the whole world has fallen apart, and then this is like the aftermath. And instead, this is sort of like, what if humanity became so incredibly technologically advanced that like we're breeding humans in labs and everybody has these very specific jobs. But yeah, so I don't know if it's technically dystopian, but it's definitely taking place in this like future that's really trippy. All right, and then I know that this one is a little bit more of a buzzy book. It's The Man Who Died Twice by Richard Osman. I really enjoyed this as somebody who loves mysteries and all of that stuff. It was sort of like a spy thriller, but with a cast of, you know, older people. Kind of reminded me of that Bruce Willis movie. I think it's called Red. But yeah, so I ended up finding this one really just fun. Like, if you just want a fun read and you like a mystery, you like a spy thriller, I think it was just a lot of fun. And then I read Cider Mill Coven, which I have mentioned on my channel before, so I won't dig too deeply into it. Also, it's written by a friend of mine. She is very talented. This is a great book. It is like Stars Hollow meets Sabrina the Teenage Witch. It's adorable. So if that sounds like your vibe, you should read it. The next one I read was The Madness of Crowds by Louise Penny. I feel like I had mixed feelings about this. I didn't dislike it. It moved along. It was easy to read from what I remember. And the subject was interesting. It's about a chief inspector who gets called in to do security on this, you know, seemingly innocuous like event where a statistics professor is giving a lecture, but it sort of goes awry and it turns into like somewhat of a riot and somebody gets killed, and so everyone's sort of trying to figure out why everybody's all worked up about this and, you know, what to do about it. But like if it's available at the library, I feel like it's a good read if you like sort of a mystery. But the next one I do remember really enjoying. It's Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. I feel like I can't say too much about this one because it's one of those ones where like even trying to describe it at all will kind of give away some of the plot. But it takes off from the beginning and you kind of are just on this crazy adventure the whole time. It's definitely like a thriller. It feels like it moves super quickly and it's a really interesting idea. It definitely felt like pretty unique. But anyway, I won't give anything away just in case you read it, but if you like thrillers, Dark Matter, very interesting. The next thing I read was for my book club that I'm in. It was A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I'm just gonna say this. I'm gonna talk about it, but if you like this book, please, please, please skip ahead because I am not here to ruin anybody's enjoyment of something. I am happy for you if you enjoy it. That's awesome. Like, everybody should just enjoy what they enjoy and not feel bad about it. So if you love this, go ahead and skip along because I'm gonna try to keep it short and sweet, but this was not my favorite. In fact, I hated this book. I think I might have hated this book. Now, to be clear, this is completely outside of my wheelhouse. I don't really enjoy fantasy that often. Occasionally I'll get into a fantasy if it's a certain type. And I am also not a romance reader. Like, that's just not my thing. I don't mind, like, if you've read this, you know this is a spicy book. I don't mind spicy books, but I don't necessarily love like super romance books, so it's just like one of those things where it's not for me. It's not written for me, and that's totally fine. Also, in my opinion, it was not well written. It was also just very cliche, I have to say. From the beginning, as soon as he comes to take her into the other realm or universe or kingdom or whatever it's called, I knew that we were in for a Beauty and the Beast, enemies to lovers. I knew that's where we were going. I was not surprised by any of it, but I was disappointed consistently with how the main character acted. I feel like she was just so cliche. She was constantly making these like really obvious bad decisions. To me, I just hate that when you're at the beginning told that this character is very strong and smart and independent, but then as soon as she's in this other situation, she like makes just the worst decisions ever. It irks me, obviously. The ending I felt like was really cheesy, and this is not the book for me. But hopefully if you loved it, you skipped this part and you didn't hear me just trash talk your favorite book. I'm not here for that, but at the same time I have to speak my truth and I have to say I did not like that book at all. And especially with how buzzy of a book it is, it was shocking to me. Okay, so I'm gonna group a bunch of these together because they are all the same author. They're all a very similar type of book, and I feel like instead of talking about each one individually, we can just talk about them as a group. One or two of these were free on Kindle, and that's how I sort of ended up reading this author. But I read a whole bunch of books from Charlie Donlea. All of them are thrillers. All of them are kind of mysteries too. I really enjoyed them individually, but I thought it was interesting. Once I got like 2 or 3 books in, I realized that they all sort of exist in the same universe. So they're not necessarily like directly related, but a lot of times you get characters from one book that like pop up in another book. And I don't know, I just liked that. I thought it made it a little bit interesting, but I also thought that each book was great as like a thriller on its own. I also, in the midst of one of those, I threw in this other book. It's called The Inmate by Frida McFadden. It was a thriller and it moved quickly. It was sort of a nice filler read, but I don't remember loving it. And another book club book that we read was Small Game by Blair Braverman. After I finished reading it, I realized that I knew who Blair Braverman was because she's been a guest on one of my favorite podcasts, You're Wrong About, several times. A very interesting idea. It's a survivalist game show, sort of like Alone, where they're dropping these contestants in the middle of the woods, except for instead of being alone, like all the contestants are supposed to like work together, sort of a thing. And then things start going wrong. And I don't want to spoil it in case you read it. Enjoyed the book overall, but the ending was very disappointing, and I think everybody in my book club felt the same way, as that we were a little disappointed by the ending. I really like Blair Braverman, and I thought most of the writing was really good. I just was disappointed by the ending. All right, and then I read Think Straight by Darius Farrow. Not sure how to say that. I don't remember this all that much. I was just in a spot, you know, midsummer, where I just needed like a little bit of a brain reboot, if you know what I mean, and you kind of need somebody to kick you in the pants. I remember feeling like this did the job. You know, it was certainly nothing super like groundbreaking. It was sort of like every other self-help book, to be honest. Sometimes you just need a kick in the pants, and that's why sometimes I just do a self-help book, just to get that little bit. And I did the audiobook of Down the Rabbit Hole by Holly Madison. I was just looking for audiobooks that were available through my library, and this came up. And you know, I remember I grew up during the time period of was it that like MTV show or VH1 show that they all had, and I just wanted to listen to it, and I thought it was interesting to get her take. That's funny, I just realized I read 3 celebrity memoirs this year, which is definitely rare for me. That's funny. But she's a very interesting person. I thought her take was interesting. I don't know, if you're looking for like an easy audiobook, I'd recommend it. And I finally read this year And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie, which I don't know why it took me so long. I don't know what took me so long, because this is like, you know, an Agatha Christie classic, and I've loved Agatha Christie for a long time, so I'm not sure what took me so long, but it's as good as they say. So if you love Agatha Christie and you haven't read it yet, read it. Then I read Death at the Manor by Catherine Shellman, which I think I also talked about this in a different video earlier this year of like my fall favorites. It's freaking adorable. It is a murder mystery, but it's also just adorable in the way that it feels like Pride and Prejudice meets Agatha Christie. Like, I had so much fun. And in fact, I think there's several others in this series, and I think that there's a Christmassy one, so I was just thinking that I really want to go to the library and get that out and read that before Christmas. I listened to the audiobook of American Prometheus, which is it's a biography of Oppenheimer. This was during the time period everyone was going to the movie. I never actually ended up seeing the movie, but I listened to the book. It was a great book. I feel like I learned a lot. It was very interesting to learn more, because I really, to be honest, I didn't know really anything about him before I read this book. And yeah, I feel like I learned a lot. Another book club book, The Little Paris Bookshop by Nina George. So this is definitely a case of I think it's a great book. I think it's real well written, but it is not a book for me. It's a very romance. I would call it just a straight romance. I don't know. I need a little bit more than just romance. Personally, that's not my vibe. But if you like romance, then I would recommend it, because I think it was well written and it was interesting. It just was a little bit hard for me to get through, because it didn't feel like there was much that really grabbed me. And this fall, I finally, once again, I got around to like a classic from one of the authors that I love, that I'm like, why did I not read this sooner? Something Wicked This Way Comes by Ray Bradbury. Loved it. So interesting. I really just couldn't put it down. Really loved it. My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. This, I think, I was a little bit disappointed, to be honest, just because it's been really buzzy, and I've read other Grady Hendrix that I really liked. I think I read the Southern Vampires Book Club. That's definitely not the title, but I can't remember what the title is. I didn't have trouble, like, you know, staying interested, but I don't know. It just didn't really hit me. A Slow Fire Burning by Paula Hawkins. So she's the one who wrote, I think, A Girl on the Train, which I really enjoyed. And I did get a little confused in the first couple chapters, because there was several different characters being introduced that we kind of like hop between, and once it kind of got going, I was able to catch back up, but at times I was sort of like, wait, who is this again? Just one of those. So I would say it wasn't quite as good as The Girl on the Train, but it was still a good read if you love a thriller. I'd say it's worth picking up. And then I read The Mistletoe Murder and Other Stories by P.D. James, which I've never read a P.D. James before, and this is a collection of short stories, but I really enjoyed it. These were just kind of fun little stories, and I flew through this book. I feel like I read it in, 2 days or something like that. So that's all the ones that I've finished. And real quickly, the two that I am definitely going to finish by the end of the year. One is the biography of Agatha Christie by Lucy Worsley. I've really enjoyed that. I've been sort of picking at that one for months. Like I'll just read like a chapter here, a chapter there, and then this month I've been sort of like, I want to finish this before the end of the year. Overall, I have really enjoyed it, and especially if you're looking for like a biography to read and you like Agatha Christie, I would highly recommend it. The other book that I have been reading is Murderland by Pamela Murray, which is again a thriller. It's been like a good read just to like, I usually read a chapter before I fall asleep. It's on my Kindle, so I have it on like dark mode, so I really like having a book like that to just sort of take a bite out each night. But it is like a nice, easy read, and it was on my library, so that's why I ended up reading it. So, but I will definitely finish both of those. And like I said, I really want to hit the library before the end of the year and maybe get a few fun seasonal reads, like some really cute Christmassy stories. I feel like it's always just a little hard to find Christmassy stories that aren't romances. So if you have any recommendations, send them my way because I would love sort of more thrillers, mysteries. Let me know. Okay, it is taste testing time. Of course, I'm eating the ugliest cookie because that's the rule. You eat the ugliest cookie. Yeah, those are really good. And I'm not an icing person, but this icing is also very good. Wow, it really tastes like Christmas in the way that like, I just remember these cookies from, like being at events when you're like little and you always eat like way too many. And I haven't had one in so many years. And it's also so weird to me to be eating one that's made from scratch. Anyway, I feel like we will maybe wrap up here because we've got some amazing cookies. We talked about books, all amazing things. And I think I'm gonna have a pretty chill night. I am gonna try to get some more work done. And tomorrow morning I'm going to pick up my husband. But I hope you are having a lovely day and I will see you next time.